In today's video, I will be sharing with you some strategies and tips that I use regarding my allergy to wool. In fact, I have many allergies, not only to wool, I also have food allergies, animal dander allergies, and medicinal allergies. And we can't forget environmental allergies like uh, allergic to pollen from plants, trees, smoke, etc. But before I get started, welcome to my channel. My name is Sultana Muzikir of sultanamuzikir.com. I'm a left-hand crocheter, designer, and maker who also loves everything handmade. So let's get started. As I mentioned before, I am allergic to wool, and I have a lot of other allergies also. And the allergies can be challenging at times when I'm searching for yarn to use in my projects. And I noticed also that there are a lot of other people that I found are allergic to wool also, or have some sort of sensitivity to it. And so when I started crocheting ages ago, it was in the 1970s, pre-internet. I know I'm aging myself. There weren't a lot of choices of yarn available like they are today as for non-wool yarn. At the time, they did have acrylic yarn. The quality of the acrylic yarn wasn't as good as it is today, but that's basically what I use: the acrylic yarn and cotton yarn. And however, today there's so many types of non-wool yarn to choose from, and the quality is quite remarkable. There are purely acrylic yarns that have the look and feel of wool. Some have been combined with cotton, nylon, or silk, and other types of yarn. And there really are some really nice wool-free yarns out there. And there are polyester yarns that feel soft. They're so soft, they feel like cotton balls. And many people who make amigurumi use those type of yarns to make their plushies and that sort of thing. But I wanted to give you some tips and some strategies of what I use when I'm looking for wool-free yarn that I want to be good quality and beautiful. So for the first tip I wanted to share with you is read the labels thoroughly. Now I know that sounds very simple, but don't assume that every version of a yarn is wool free. And what I mean by that is, for example, when Karen Cake's yarn first came out, I really wanted to try it. However, I was very disappointed when I found out that it was a blend of acrylic and wool. So couldn't try that one. And when other versions of Karen Cake's yarns came out, I just automatically assumed that they had wool in them and I wouldn't be able to try them. But something told me, just read the label, to confirm that what I was assuming was correct. And I found out, pleasantly surprised actually, that many of the new Karen Cake yarns do not have wool in it. For example, Karen Cake's Blossom Cake yarn is a combination of cotton and acrylic. And in addition, there are many other variations of the Karen Cake's yarn that are wool free. However, make sure that you read the labels carefully, because as I was searching for other Karen Cake yarns, I found that Karen Tea Cake's yarn is a blend of acrylic and wool. So, and that could, be for any type of yarn. I'm not trying to beat up on Karen Cake's yarn or anything like that, but I'm just using that as one example. And also, don't assume that any of the Karen Cake yarns, because there are a lot of wool-free choices, that you can't use any of them. And I would also suggest that when you buy your yarn and you say you have a specific type of yarn that you buy and you know it doesn't have any wool, I would still check the label every time before I buy the yarn, because you never know when they might decide to change up the materials in a specific yarn. So I want to be careful about that. And the next tip I have for you, when checking your yarns, I've noticed in the past that some labels list that it's made with polyester or acrylic, and they also list another material as other materials. So what are other materials? They're not listing what the other materials are. So I will stay away from that, because if you can't identify what the other materials are, the other might be wool yarn. So in that case, I wouldn't buy that particular yarn, because I don't want to take the chance that wool might be a part of the other materials. And it's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, now let's see. Another tip I have involves my allergy to wool, animals, and the environment. So if you buy secondhand yarn, or you're planning to buy secondhand yarn online, for instance on Etsy, I would be very careful. I would ask the seller questions regarding how they store the yarn. Do they have pets? Do they smoke? Or does anyone else in the household where you're storing this yarn, do they smoke, etc.? Because some years ago I bought secondhand yarn, but from now I'm going to show you some of the yarn in my stash that I use that is wool free. So the first yarn I'm going to show you is Red Heart Super Saver yarn. And this yarn is a go-to for me. It's a really good yarn especially for beginners when they're learning how to crochet and knit, because this yarn is very economical. And this is a size 4 medium weight yarn, and it is made of acrylic. And it's also, you can use it a lot for blankets and things like that. And I know some people complain about it, and saying that it's scratchy and all that sort of thing, but I really like this yarn. And if you wash it, if you use it and make whatever project you're making, and if you wash it afterwards, it gets softer after every wash, and I haven't had any issues with it so far. And next yarn, this is Red Heart with Love yarn, and this yarn it's a size 4 medium weight acrylic yarn also, but this yarn I think is just a little bit softer than Red Heart Super Saver. It has a little bit more of a drape to it, and I like using this yarn. And I also like to use Premier Sweet Roll yarn. Now this is a size 4 medium weight yarn. I like size 4 medium weight yarn. I use that a lot. And this is very soft, very squishy, and this is another good wool-free yarn that I use. And got that in my stash. And then I also have this yarn. This is Patton's Silk Bamboo yarn, and I've used this yarn to make a scarf. And this yarn is very nice. It's a size 3 weight yarn, and like I said, it's 70% viscose from bamboo and 30% silk. So this is another good choice that you could use for your wool-free yarn. And this is Knit Picks Cotton yarn, and this is a good yarn to use. It's let's see, this is a DK weight yarn. It's 70% cotton and 30% linen, and this is a nice yarn you can use for your wool free yarn. And also, this is recycled sari silk ribbon yarn, and this yarn is made from the leftovers materials that Indian saris are made with. And what they do is they either tie the yarns together or sew them together randomly, so you have a random color and even width of yarn to make items with. And I wanted to show you, I started working on a scarf using this recycled sari silk ribbon yarn. And you can see how random it is, but I really like the way it looks. It's so soft, and really whatever you make from this yarn is going to be one of a kind piece. So if you're making items to sell, or if you're making something for yourself or as a gift, that whoever you give this item to, they are going to love it, and it's going to be one of a kind. No one else will have the same thing. So when you buy the recycled sari silk ribbon yarn, each skein is going to be unique. So I use that. And this is another recycled sari silk yarn, and this one, the strands are different length, and you can see if you're someone who likes everything to be neat and uniform, you might not like this yarn because everything is not neat and uniform. But I like the fabric that comes out when you crochet with it, and I made a couple of scarves using this. I don't have a sample because I sold both of those scarves, but I think that this is a unique yarn that you could use that's wool free. And also, I like using Premier Home cotton yarn. And this yarn is 85% cotton and 15% polyester. So this yarn you can use for any project, pot holders, placemats, table runners, and I would say you could even use it for fashion items, because the polyester in the cotton really makes it a lot softer. And I like using this yarn also. And this is another yarn I like to use also, Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn. This is 100% cotton, and this is another great yarn you could use. I use this a lot for if I'm making washcloths, pot holders, placemats, all that, those sort of things, and it's really good for that. And here is some recycled t-shirt yarn. I like to use that also. This is from Ganzet, I think that's how you pronounce that. And this is recycled t-shirt yarn, and this is good. I've used this for making handbags, and also for placemats, and really you could use it for making baskets and all that sort of thing. Just really nice, kind of stretchy a little bit. It's another alternative to wool free yarn. And this one is Premier Bunny yarn. This is so fluffy and soft, and I have used this yarn actually for making sleeves on a jacket that I made. So this one is a good wool-free yarn choice also, and this is a size 7 yarn, and it is 100% polyester, and you can wash it. You can wash it in warm and tumble dry low. So all of these yarns I showed you are some of the yarns that I had my stash that I use for my wool-free yarn. And so there are many choices. There are many more choices out there that you could use. And these have been very helpful for me, so you don't have to worry. You have plenty of choices, and I hope this video was helpful for you. And if it was, don't forget to hit that like button, ring that bell, and subscribe. Share this video with your fellow crocheters, and I thank you for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.